3 is your operational briefing for today, Tuesday. Just a reminder, please keep your sidebar conversations and or any other radio traffic or phones to a minimum, please, so we can get going with briefing. There's chairs up front, and if you guys could remain in the back that are back there, please stop talking. We appreciate it. We're going to start off with the management objectives. Utilize a risk management process to identify and mitigate hazards to protect first responders and the public. Emphasize strategy and tactics that have the highest probability of success and the least exposure to first responders and the public. Develop proactive strategies to protect life, residential properties, communities, businesses, and infrastructure. Employ tactics that fulfill these strategies while being mindful of the necessity for contingency and emergency plans. Ensure strategies account for incident priorities, applying resources to those protecting life, residential properties first. Follow COVID-19, CDC, and establish local, state, and federal guidelines to limit virus spread within the incident, surrounding communities near the fire area. Provide timely and continuous incident information to affected agencies, partners, cooperators, California Team 1, as well as the public. Utilize social media and all other communication tools to keep the public well informed of the fire conditions and other pertinent information. Maintain fiscal accountability and keep cost commensurate with values at risk. Control objectives, the box. Keep the fire north of the fire perimeter and Highway 162 and the junction of Highway 70. Keep the fire south of Harvey Valley Road. Keep the fire east of the Mill Creek drainage. Keep the fire west of the California-Nevada state line. Current situational update, night operation, Sean Jerry.
Good morning, Sean Jerry, night operations. Starting in branch 9, continued mop up and patrol through the entire branch. Branch 13, fire operations to box in the Morgan incident happened last night along Highway 36 and 89. Moving into branch 16, the fire held along the 21A road, a few spots over, but they caught those with dozer line and mop up. They began firing right down here in Westwood to close that little bit of a gap. The Susanville branch, the fire moved from Willard Creek Road east towards Susanville last night with the winds on it. The fire has still not passed the Cheney Creek Road area, moving towards Susanville. Last night in Jamesville branch, fire activity picked up. The fire moved down from the Janesville grade and crossed Highway 395 going towards Honey Lake and down towards Milford. Structure protection was put in place and the crews did a good job. Thank you. Have a safe day.
Weather, Joe Gosward.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Still wearing the red shirt, so you know what that means. We are still under a red flag warning for today. The winds did calm down. We got the smoke, pretty similar conditions to yesterday. However, it looks like we're going to start our event earlier today than we did yesterday. By late morning, early afternoon, we're looking for those southwest winds to come up as the dry cold front works its way across the area. So we're looking at winds 15 to 20 miles an hour sustained. Could see gusts around 35 miles an hour, maybe even a little bit higher on some of those exposed ridge tops or along the mid slopes, areas that are more unsheltered, for lack of a better word. So still going to be dry. Temperatures are going to be down a little bit. However, we still do have that haze of 5. So we're going to be unstable, we're going to be warm, we're going to be dry, and we're going to have a bunch of wind. Now later today, we're looking at a wind shift. Starting in the northwest part of the fire, winds are going to turn around to the northwest. Eventually they're going to turn to the northwest for everybody, and then northeast. And this is where it gets different than the past couple of nights. Those northeast winds are going to stay elevated through the entire night. 10, maybe 20 miles an hour, and of course, they're going to be blowing down canyon, downwind with those northeast winds. That obviously is going to create a whole nother problem for the folks out on the line. But as far as the fire weather is concerned, red flag warning continues. Look for those southwest winds to surface late this morning or very early this afternoon. And look out for that wind shift coming in late this afternoon, and then those northeast winds overnight. Thank you.
Fire behavior, Brian Newman.
Okay, good morning. Just want to reiterate, we are under a red flag warning through almost your entire shift today until late into the night, at 10, 11 o'clock tonight, for those high winds and just the overall activity. So also, fuels and fire behavior advisory is in your IEP. It is very valid. It's been validated with all the activity we've had yesterday, and expect that to continue today. So yesterday, the wind started to come up across the fire midday, and we started seeing activity start to pick up as soon as the smoke started to thin. So the winds were surfacing yesterday at 2 o'clock. We started seeing activity around noon. Today, we're expecting the winds to surface around noon, so expect the activity to start around 10, 11 o'clock. Just like we saw yesterday, any thinning of smoke on this fire is allowing the activity to pick up. So expect the same thing to happen today. Everywhere where you see bright red on the map is where our activity was last night, and yesterday and last night, and expect that to continue today. So as that comes across the fire, today southwest wind for the most part is going to push on the this western part, going to push it more to the north. Morgan fire area is going to see more growth to the north and to the east, and as across the top, you'll see that growth pushing out into there. Spotting is an issue, half mile, 1 mile, and further in some of the areas of exposed ridges. As you come across into the Clear Branch area, same thing, expect activity in there, expect it to start standing up and start moving. As you get over here and towards the Susanville Branch area, there is a good fire scar in there that's holding it up. Expect that that's going to slow it down, but it's not going to stop it. So again, the biggest thing as it comes across here, this is a gigantic funnel that is allowing the wind to funnel down through this drainage here and allow for activity to increase. Down here in the Janesville area, this was a spot almost 6 miles out from the main fire yesterday. So this activity today, they had made a good stop on it last night, but the bigger issue overall in the fire, as the wind starts to shift around and it starts to change across the fire this evening and this afternoon, as you'll start to see the wind start pushing to the southeast across here, and that's going to have an effect on this Janesville area, and it'll have an effect on the Susanville Branch area, and all the way across the top here is your shifting wind. So by the time you get past midnight, 1 in the morning, you're going to be more down canyon, and that steady down canyon breeze that's going to be pushing back on some of these places, but potentially pushing against your line if you're on that western side. Also, your thermal belts are going to stay relatively warm tonight, relatively dry, and you'll see that wind across there. So use all of those things put together to make your plan today. Be very aware you are on the topographic features, and be ready for the winds that are going to come up today. They're already starting to surface a little bit here in camp. You can see the flags moving. So just be heads up on that. Don't be lulled into the smoke cover that you are in camp here. Only good news out of this for the most part is it's going to clear out. Aircraft activity is going to be able to start sooner, but don't base your plans on that. So take all that in consideration and have a safe shift.
Safety officer, Damon Godden.
Good morning. I'm going to start out the safety briefing this morning and mentioning the enemy that we can't see, COVID-19. It's here in camp, and we don't want it to be in your companies or your crews. So please wash your hands and do everything else that's precautionary for COVID-19. We don't want to tighten up restrictions. We're relying on you to do safe actions. Please brief that part with your crews. That's not the part of my safety job that I want to mention, but it's real, and people are in the hospital because of it, and we lost an entire strike team yesterday because of it. So let's mitigate that right now. Let's stop it. That being said, please make sure you follow your leadership briefings and get that to your crews. Very thorough, very important, a lot of dynamics today. You guys have all done an amazing job on this incident as of today. We want to continue that record. And I would not be doing my job as your safety officer if I didn't mention that this fire moved into the Eagle Fire scar from the late 80s. That's one of our biggest lessons learned, fire that we study with and we teach. We want to keep that fire scar as our lessons learned and not have the Dixie enter that. So keep that in mind and stay safe.
Operations, Mark Brunton.
Good morning. Welcome back for those of you who've been with us, and for those of you new, welcome to the Dixie incident. Overall, our incident is broken into 2 zones. Yesterday, there was an adjustment of that zone line, and for those of you that have been around, and so that has changed a number of things. When they talk about communication and so forth, that is going to have an assistance with that. For those operational folks that have been working previously a lot of time in the east zone. Well, that's now going to be, most of that will be now part of the west zone, and then for our aircraft. So it has a few changes. Some of you it will touch and some of you it will not. So just be aware of that process. Okay, so we'll start off with our roll call. Our 3 sectors are still the same. Nothing's changed as far as that's concerned. Our Butte sector is not here with us. They're remote, but I'll just go through that roll call. We'll roll call down to the division soup level. So in the Butte sector, the branch director is Tapia, and the division is Casone. Here at the incident base, we'll start with our Lassen sector, Bohall. Here. Branch 9 will be Embregret. Here. With trainee Mitchison. Here. Division Kilo, Alderete. Here. Trainee Cecina. Here. Lima, York. Here. Moving to branch 13, Hispanic. Here. And Clemec. Most of the leadership is up at the park remotely, Papa English. Here. Moving to branch 16, Skrobecki. Here. Division Romeo, Cox. Here. Division Tango, Schindler. Here. Division Uniform, Milovich. Here. Lassen Heavy Equipment Group, Peterson. Here. And Fetterman. Moving on to our westward sector, our Deputy Operations Section Chief, Norman. Here. Lake will be Bonson. Here. Division Juliet, Boyce. Here. And there'll be a fill on the Chester group but later. Clear Branch, Barnes. Here. The 147 group and the Meadow group will be overseen by Carp. Here. Duffy group, Hossetter. Here. Westwood, Hunt. Peninsula, O'Neill. Here. Susanville Branch, Dyer. Here. River Group, Chase. Here. Gold and Richmond will be Phil's. Janesville Contingency, Andreas. Here. Deputy Branch, Ehrlich. Here. Wildcat Group, Thomas. Here. Grade Group, Clellan. Here. Christie will be Morgenstern. Wingfield will be a Phil. Fire suppression and repair will be down on the Butte, and that'll be Derby. Staging, Monteil. Here. Okay, objectives. Lassen sector. The Morgan fire, which was a lightning fire from a few days ago, that's that area to the left, just where you see the Division November indicator. That one was a firing operation to button that thing up in 89 and 36. That'll be a number 1 priority in that sector. Then the other priority is the fire on the north part of that sector in the Lassen sector. For the Westwood, number 1 priority today is the Susanville branch and then also the Janesville branch, the structured defense and life safety within those areas. Those are the priorities for today. Okay, so you've heard already from IMET, you've heard from the F-Band, we've been preparing you for this. This is going to be a very dynamic day. Okay, this is going to be a potential big firefight today. We already saw that yesterday in Janesville and the outstanding efforts by the leadership and by the folks and the boots on the ground yesterday to protect that community. Heard the fire around that. We surged our resources per our plan to make that happen, and we had success. Today, we could see another similar event. Okay, been talking a lot about this the past few days about initiative and discipline and so forth. Today is the day for that discipline. We have to maintain that discipline. Your leadership is prepared. You have outstanding leadership to take you there. Maintain that discipline. I'm going to also give you a tool today. If things start getting a little crazy, getting a little Western out there, and maintaining that discipline, is the U.S. military has something called the OODA loop. It's O-O-D-A, the OODA loop. Okay? You get yourself in that situation, it becomes a little overwhelming. Okay? You need to take that time to take a second. Okay? You need to observe, you need to orient, you need to decide, and then you need to act. Okay? So use that tool for you. If you get a little overwhelmed, things get a little crazy out there, think about that, use that tool, and it'll give you success. And today, battle like champions.
Air Operations, Matt Stanford.
Good morning. You'll find air assets on page 60 and 61. To make something clear today, we did expand our air assets. They're going to be flying all the way down to Janesville and in Susanville areas. So if you're working below that on this map, that will be the east zone, and you will use east zone air to ground. Anything above that in the Janesville, up in the Susanville branch, everything will be west zone air to ground. So yesterday we dropped over 300,000 gallons of water, 80,000 gallons of retardant. Aircraft will be flying the entire west zone for our fire today, so be aware of your surroundings. When they're coming in for drops, if we get the VLAT and all that up today, please stay out of the area, but once they get done dropping, let's get those foot soldiers down there and let's back up their lines. We'll have a VLAT, ASM, Air Attack 2 tankers, super scoopers available. Still over 30 helicopters flying out of 4 helibases. We have the Eagle helibase and we have the Battle helibase on the west zone, Battle Creek helibase. Any medical emergencies, please follow the medical plan. Let's do this.
Communications, Corey Costa.
Hi, good morning, Corey Costa. Today's August 17th, no new clone today. If you had a clone the last 3 days, you're good to go. If you just got to the incident or checked out a radio, then come by communications and we'll get you the most recent load. Today's West Zone 205s are going to be on page 62 and 63, and your East Zone 205 will be on page 64. Remember, please use only the channels that are on the comm plans for use, and please don't use any unauthorized frequencies. If you have any issues, communications, bleed over, anything, please let us know. Be descriptive, your location, what channels, and all that. If you have any other questions, come see us at Communications. We're at the end of Main Street, right by Supply. Have a good, safe shift.
Medical, Kevin Fortney.
Good morning. You're going to find your medical plan on page 66 this morning. Again, the box 8 information at the bottom half of the page, the procedure on the left, the 9-line information that we need to get you the resources to mitigate your issue on the right. I'm on Trailer Row. I still have CalMat here. If you need to see the dock, you need supplies. My number is at the bottom of the 206. If you have any questions during the shift, feel free to call me.
Logistics, Milford Ferguson.
Morning. Page 75 of your IAP, please review that for any hydrant use in the city. We are well marked in the city. If they're not marked with a big van board, don't use it. Refer to your map for that address. Again, laundry, please go and pick up your laundry. We've been having laundry still for 4 or 5 days stuck in there, and we have run out of room to work. Smoking issues, please use the parking lots and be respectful. Stay out of the briefing area and the trailer row and food area, please. Also, parking lot. I'm seeing a lot of engines and crews parking out in the city and not coming in. Please come into camp, park, and don't impact the city. Thank you.
Training, Justin Voisin.
Good morning. Your training message is located on page 67 in your IAP. I'm located directly behind you in Trailer Row, just past the incident trailer. If you're a trainee and you haven't registered with a training specialist yet, come see me as soon as possible. I'll be available immediately after briefing, or you can utilize the QR code on the bottom of page 67. If you already registered with a training specialist in Chico, there's no need to come see me again until you're scheduled to demob, and we'll close you out. If you're getting close to timing out, doing a crew swap, demobbing, anything like that, and you've already completed as many tasks in your task book that you think you'll be able to complete on this incident, come see me early and we'll get you closed out. There's no need to wait until you're scheduled for demob. When you close out, I'll need you to bring your task book, your evaluation record, and your ICS 225. I have all those blank forms in my trailer if you need them, and my telephone number and email address are on the bottom of page 67 if you guys have any questions. Thank you.
Information, Dan Olson.
Morning, everyone. If you turn to page 69 in the IAP, you have the latest numbers pertaining to the Dixie incident. Please use these should you come in contact with any media or general public to update them. Current acreage is 604,511. That's 604,511. Containment remains at 31%, and total personnel assigned 5,963. At the top of the page, you have 2 phone numbers you can reference. To provide the information, we do have a JIC or Joint Information Center stood up to be able to take in those calls and answer those questions for both the media and the general public. Photographs, if you get any photographs, please send them in. Media presence, you're probably going to see an uptick on the line with your media. If you're having any issues, feel free to give us a call. We'll get someone out there and take that off your back. Lastly, lost and found and mail services provided at the PIO trailer directly behind me at the right. Have a good shift.
Unit Chief Scott Packwood.
Good morning, Scott Packwood, Unit Chief Last Modoc. We're starting to transition out of the timber and into a different fuel type coming off the escarpment. So for those of you that are going to be working down on the Janesville escarpment area, we're coming out of the timber into the bitter brush. The last time we sampled the live fuel moistures in the bitter brush was about the time this fire started, 35 days or so ago. And it was already setting record low fuel moistures at about 75%. So that stuff's very volatile. It's going to be a faster rate of spread if it gets into that stuff. You're also working in a sandy soil, decomposed granite out there that you can get stuck in your engines or vehicles. So be careful driving around. If you get off the roads or the driveways, you can sink in that sand just like driving on the beach out there in some places. So be heads up, don't get yourself caught in the sand. Watch that fuel moisture you heard from the IMET and the F-band. You're going to get wind pretty much from every direction except for the southeast, and you'll probably even get some of that in localized little drainages out there. So be heads up, watch the column, watch the wind, and have a safe day.
Okay, a couple of reminders. Unassigned resources over here. Sector breakouts, the last one breakout will be back by the OES trailer. Over here will be the other breakout behind me. If you're unassigned resource, once again over here, as far as meetings, the cooperative meetings will be at 0900. Next planning meeting will be 1700 hours. Your next operational briefing will be here tomorrow at 0700 hours. Closing comments, Unified ICs, Billy C. and Jay Lusser.
Good morning. I want to thank you for your continued hard work. It's been a long haul, and we still got a lot coming. That complex situation still exists today between fuels, weather, fire location, and the strategic priorities we're trying to achieve. It's going to be really difficult. It's going to take a lot of working together. When we face a complex crisis, to focus on the task in front of us, the immediate task, whether that's a spot fire, your structured defense, or holding a piece of line. But don't lose sight of that long-term strategic priority to contain this fire and protect those communities. Some of them may be a house right next to you. Some of them may be a community that's several miles away. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Obviously, yesterday was a challenging day. The firefighters did a heck of a job out on the line, looking for opportunities to gain success. Lots of spot fires out there. Today's going to be no different. You've heard the weather report. You've heard the fuels conditions. I got to spend some time out on 395 last night with the firefighters and the firefighting effort out there around Honey Lake area. And a lot of great firefighting effort going on out there. Lots of defensive actions taken to protect property and lives. Everyone stayed safe and they stayed aggressive. Today, please focus on the opportunities in front of you. Don't focus on the challenges that you're faced with. When there are spot fires, every 10 embers that are going across the line are starting 12 new spot fires. You need to get on those immediately, aggressively, get them extinguished before they build energy. Because once they build energy, they're going to run away from you and create more havoc. Stay aggressive out there, stay safe. The key to success today, everyone goes home off of this shift safely, and we protect as much infrastructure and private property out there as possible. Thank you.
That concludes your operational briefing. Could I see the State Charlie Strike Team leaders up front, please? I'd appreciate it. Thank you.